Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello media students, this is your English 2 instructor Hindi Ben, and today inshallah we're going to take our second online lecture, so please I need you to pay as much attention as you can and also bring your dictionaries because we're going to need them in this lecture too. As you can see here, we're going to complete Unit 3, which is titled Magazines Part 2. And in this part, we are going to talk about giving instructions for a photo shoot and planning and writing a true life story. All right, now I need to take a second and answer this question. What is a photo shoot? What do you understand when you hear the words photo shoot? Okay. Well, as you can see, a photo shoot is generally used in the fashion or glamour industry, whereby a model poses for a photographer at a studio or an outdoor location, where multiple photos are taken to find the best ones for the required brief. I think it's easy. This is how a photo shoot looks like. And please, I need you to get the meaning in Arabic too. Okay? All right. Okay. Now I need you to take a look and answer this question. What sort of information an editor would need to pass on to a photographer in preparation for a photo shoot? What sort of information an editor would need to pass on to a photographer in preparation for a photo shoot? Did you get the meaning of this question? Can you give an answer about these preparations? Okay. The preparations are the location. I think it's pretty easy. The date of the photo shoot. I think it's easy too. The deadline for the photos. The purpose of the shoot. Remember the word purpose when I asked you last lecture to translate it. The desired effect, mode, style of the photos. Practical details, for example, like clothes to be worn, designers to be contacted, hair and makeup requirements, and also fee. And please, again, if there is any difficult word in this slide, don't forget to translate it right now. All right, now I need you to focus on those questions because you're going to answer them yourselves. How important are photographs to magazine success? Do different kinds of magazines use different kinds of photos? How do magazines commission photographers? Please, I need you to understand these questions carefully, and then please, I need you to answer them. Okay, as you can see here, this is a form of an email. This is how an email looks like. You find from, and of course this is the one who sends the email, to the one who received the email, the company, the email's company here, and the subject, what this email about, and of course the importance of this email. Okay, I'm going to read the details with you, so please pay attention. Dear Stefan, we were happy with the work you did for us last summer, and we are wondering if your agency would be interested in working with us again in another photo shoot in South America. We are doing a fashion lie-in with the World Championship in Rio. The shoot was previously scheduled for the first week of June, and we will need to have the photos by the 15th. If you are interested in the job, please contact us immediately to discuss payment and for a full brief. Best wishes, Charlotte Smith Huggs, Fashion Editor, Glorious. As you can see, this is a work email from Charlotte, and Charlotte sent it to Stefan, who turns out to be a photographer, and we can get this from the details inserted in this email. She is an editor for a very famous magazine, which is Glorious. Okay, all right. As you can see, guys, here there's another email, and we're going to read it too in order to get the details, and then we're going to find if both emails are similar, are they different. If they are different, what are the differences between them. So please focus and note down anything weird that you find. Hi Steve, how are you? Working hard, not too hard, I hope, as I've got a great gig for you. I'm doing a fashion piece which I want to shoot in Rio, and I thought of you. The shoot is penciled in for the first week of June, and I'll need to see the photos by the 15th. What do you think? It'd be great to work with you again. The shoot we did last year was fantastic. Let me know if you are interested ASAP. I can give you all the details you need, the money and the brief. All the best, Charlotte. Charlotte Smith Hugs, fashion editor, Glorious. Please, I don't have to remind you, I think, but if you find any awkward or difficult word, don't please forget to understand them immediately. After reading the previous emails carefully, and if you didn't, please go back and try to read them more than one time, because the following slides based upon them. Okay, now I'm going to read these questions for you and to let you know you're going to answer them by yourselves. I'm not gonna give you the answer. Number 1. Do both emails contain the same information? Which one is formal and which one is informal? And maybe before answering this question, you will need first to know the meaning of the word formal and the word informal. How many times does email A use the words I or me? And how many times does email B use the words I or me? Who does we refer to in email A, and who does we refer to in email B? What phrasal verb in email B means the same as previously scheduled from email A? Email B used the abbreviation ASAP. What does it stand for, and what more formal word in email A means the same? I need you all make sure that you understand these questions because you're going to answer them as an assignment. So answer the following questions yourself and then attach them in an email, and you will find my email at the last slide. Okay. When writing an email, there are some things you should always try to do and other you should never do. I need you now to complete the following statements about writing emails using either always or never. This means if you found the thing is appropriate to do, then you choose always, and if it's not appropriate or it's not a good thing to be done, you should use never. Okay, number 1, put a subject line. What is the meaning of subject line? Subject line. Okay, now you can use your dictionaries to know the meaning of these words in order to answer it correctly. Okay, now if you knew the meaning of these words, that means you definitely know that the answer is always. Always put a subject line. Okay, number 2. Forget to check for grammar and spelling mistakes. Do you think it is important for you to check your grammar and spelling, or it's not that important? Is it important? Isn't it important? Can you tell? Well, of course, checking grammar and spelling mistakes is a very important thing, so you should never forget to check them. Okay? What about number 3? Choose the appropriate register, formal, neutral, or informal. Do you know the meaning of the word appropriate? Register, formal, neutral, informal. These words, try to translate them first before answering. Well, here the answer is always. Always choose the appropriate register, formal, neutral, or informal. Okay, what about number 4? Personalize your message to the recipient. Personalize your message to the recipient. Of course, the answer is always personalize your message to the recipient. Okay, number 4, forget your signature. The word signature, do you know it? If you don't, of course, you know what to do. The answer is never forget your signature. Okay, number 6, try to keep your message short if you can. I think this one is pretty easy. It doesn't need a time to get the answer. So the answer is always try to keep your message short if you can. Number 7, forward an email without permission. Forward an email without permission. Of course, I think you have or you need to translate the word forward and the word permission. Did you do it? If you did, that means that you knew the answer would be never. Never forward an email without permission. Okay, number 8, think that no one else will see your email. Think that no one else will see your email. Never think that no one else will see your email. Okay, number 9, and the last one, expect an immediate answer. Do you know the meaning of the word immediate? Expect an immediate answer, and this is of course a definite never. Never expect an immediate answer. Okay guys, as you can see, the statements from the previous exercise are all examples of good email etiquette for both formal and informal emails. Now I need you to decide if the following features are formal or informal, and then find examples in the email. Okay, number 1, use of slang. Is it formal or informal? Do you first know the meaning of the word slang? Well, if you don't, please, you know what to do. You can use your dictionaries to get the Arabic meaning. Now back to our question. The use of slang, of course, is informal, and as an example from the second email, we have the word gig. Number 2, use of contractions. Do you know the meaning of the word contractions? Well, contractions, of course, is informal, like using I'm, I've, I'll, and contractions means instead of saying I am, I say I'm. Instead of saying I have, I say I've. Instead of saying I will, I say I. This is the meaning of contractions. Okay, number 3. Use of dear and best wishes. Is it formal or informal? Well, of course, it is formal. What about omitting words? Right, omitting words is definitely informal, like working hard. Instead, if I want to use a complete question, I would say, are you working hard? But because we are using informal language, it is okay if we omit some words here, like here are. So instead of saying, are you working hard? I can simply say, working hard gives the same meaning. Okay, number 5, use of abbreviations. Do you know the meaning of the word abbreviations? Okay. Of course, it is informal, like ASAP. This means as soon as possible, but instead of saying the long form as soon as possible, I could simply say ASAP. Now we're going to read the extract from the brief for the World Champion Fashion in Rio, and then we're going to answer some question that is related to it. As you can see here, the photo shoot is about the World Championships. The context is Glorious is a glossy women's magazine. Its market is women in their mid-20s to mid-40s. It has a young, dynamic feel. It includes sections on health and fitness, beauty, romance, work, fashion, travel, and culture, as well as true life stories. In the brief part, this is a high-cost shoot and will be the principal fashion spread and focus for the World Championship theme in the July issue, and the spread will be 10 pages. This spread has 2 objectives. Number 1, to capture the innovation and originality of the new breed of fashion designers that are currently emerging in Rio, and number 2, to draw on the beauty of location in Rio. The photos must showcase the work of new young designers within their own vibrant culture. We want the shoot to be dynamic and colorful, combining the city's rich history with its modern side. Okay, now I need you to complete the following definitions from the headings in bold in the brief. Do you know the meaning of the word headings? If you don't, you know what to do. Use your dictionaries to get the Arabic meaning in order to understand the question. Okay, now I need you to get the meaning of the word payment from the headings in bold in the brief. The meaning of the word payment. Yes, of course, it means fee. What about deadlines? Deadline. Its time scale, the background, the background. It means context, communication. The meaning of the word communication is contact, and the last one, requirements, brief. Now I need you to answer the following questions about the brief by choosing the correct alternative. The context section describes the magazine or the shoot. The context section describes the magazine or the shoot. Of course, it describes the magazine. The context section uses the present simple or the present continuous. The present simple or the present continuous. Of course, the present simple tense. What about the brief? The brief section describes the magazine or the shoot. It describes the shoot. Okay, what about the brief section uses? Mostly present tense, may and should, or a combination of present simple, must, and will. Exactly, a combination of present simple, must, and will. after finishing the part that is talking about the photo shoot, now we're going to talk about planning and writing a true life story. As you can see, now we're going to talk about planning and writing a true life story. But first of all, we need to know what is meant by a true life story and what sort of true life stories appear in different magazines. As you can see, true life stories involve normal people coping with unusual situations, typically tragedies like illness, death of loved ones, accidents, crimes, addictions, severe poverty, and so on. A common theme is love and relationships. For example, cheating partners finding true love in an unexpected place. They may also involve life-changing events, for example, moving abroad, winning a lottery, coincidence, and so on. So, most true stories in magazines can be divided into the following 4 sections. Moral, which is the lesson of the story. The problem, the setting, which is the character, the place, and time. And, of course, the solution. As you can see now in the reading section, we're going to discuss an article that is titled Lightning Strikes Twice. So you're going to read it yourself. I'm going to give you some time before start asking. So please, I need you to bring your dictionaries and open them and start translating all the difficult words that you find in order to understand this article. So now I'm going to give you the time to read it, and then I'm going to come back with my questions. Now, after reading the article, and I hope that you read it carefully, I need you to match the notes the journalist made from A to F to the correct headings and the right from 1 to 4. Matt has to have a liver transplant, and then his wife Anne has to have a liver transplant. This experience, which often causes couples to separate, has made Anne and Matt stronger and care for each other more. Anne and Matt. The story starts when Matt is 39. Both Matt and Anne have successful operations. The USA. Now we're going to match these notes in the to the correct headings in the right. The first one would be Anne and Matt. The story starts when Matt is 39, the USA. What about number 2? Yes, Matt has to have a liver transplant, and then his wife Anne has to have a liver transplant. What about number 3? Well, both Matt and Anne have successful operations. And number 4 is the last one, which is this experience, which often causes couples to separate, has made Anne and Matt stronger and care for each other. Now, without looking back at the article, I need you to complete the following sentences using the verbs in the books, and then we're going to put the sentences in the correct order. The verbs we have: became, felt, finished, had suffered, left, managed, puts, was waiting. And I need you to notice that we're going to use this verb twice. Okay. Matt spaced for her, his eyes full of tears. According to the article, the answer will be was waiting. Now, it's Space Anne's turn to wait for a donor liver. It was Anne's turn to wait for a donor liver. What about the third one? Anne stormed Space nervous at work. Which verb we're gonna use here? Anne Storm felt nervous at work. What about the other one? Anne spaced on her coat and Matt his arm around her. Anne puts on her coat and Matt puts his arm around her. What about the next one? A donor liver, space available. Which verb we're gonna use? Exactly, became available. The next one, the operation, space at 7. The next morning, she spaced the hospital after 10 days. The operation finished at 7. The next morning, she spaced the hospital after 10 days. Here the answer will be left the hospital. Okay, the next one. Matt spaced to say, I need a liver transplant. Well, Matt managed to say, I need a liver transplant. The last one. This showed Anne's space liver failure. This showed that Anne had suffered liver failure. Well, after answering the exercise, and I hope you did it right, now we're going to rearrange these events according to the article that we have just read. Which sentence will be number 1? Anne Storm felt nervous at work. Exactly. And number 2, Matt was waiting here, his eyes full of tears. Number 3, Matt managed to say, I need a liver transplant. Number 4, a donor liver became available. Number 5, tests showed Anne had suffered liver failure. Number 6, now it was Anne's turn to wait for a donor liver. Number 7, the operation finished at 7 the next morning. She left the hospital after 10 days. And the last one is Anne puts on her coat and Matt puts his arm around her. And I hope you solved this exercise correctly. Now in the grammar part, we're going to discuss 4 different tenses, which are the present simple, the past simple, the past continuous, and the past perfect. بما ان الجرامر دايما بيعمل لنا لبس، فانا هشرحه بالعربي عشان يبقى واضح للجميع. البريزنت سمبل مبدئيا عندي بيتكون من ايه؟ بيتكون من الفعل مضاف له اس او اي اس او اي اس لما ببقى بتكلم عن فاعل مفرد او الضمير اللي بينوب عنه بيكون في المفرد. وطبعا لو كان جمع بحط الفعل في مصدره بدون اي اضافات، ولو تفتكروا ده شرحناه في اول محاضرة. طيب دلوقتي بقى ايه علاقته بالترو لايف ستوري او كتابة القصة الحقيقية بشكل او باخر؟ We use it to bring the story up to the present so that it seems more relevant and up to date. لما ببقى بستخدمه في موضوع كتابة القصة بيبقى دايما عامل لي ربط ما بين أحداث القصة وما بين الواقع والفترة اللي أنا عايشها دلوقتي، فالموضوع يبدو واقعي أكتر. تمام؟ طيب بالنسبة للpast simple بيتكون في الأول عندي من إيه؟ بيتكون عندي من الفعل في التصريف التاني في الماضي اللي هو بيبقى مضاف له ed أو d، وطبعا لازم نحط في اعتبارنا ان بيبقى عندنا بعض الافعال الشاذة اللي بيبقى تصريفاتها بره الدي والاي دي بتحفظ كما هي. تمام. طيب برضو ايه علاقة الباست سيمبل في كتابة القصة او استخدمه ازاي في كتابة القصة الحقيقية؟ I use it to narrate past events in the story in chronological order. بستخدمه لما بحط عندي احداث حصلت في الماضي بحيث ان انا ارتبها ترتيب منطقي. بالنسبة للpast continuous، الpast continuous اللي هو الماضي المستمر الأول تكوينه إيه؟ بيتكون عندي من was أو were مضاف لهم الفعل مضاف له ing أو في الجيرند زي ما بنقول. طيب بالنسبة لكتابة القصة I use it to express duration or repetition in the past. بستخدمه إمتى؟ لما أبقى بعبر عن حاجة حصلت في الماضي استمرت لفترة معينة أو حاجة اتكررت برضو في الماضي لفترات معينة وخلصت وانتهت، ساعتها أقدر أستخدم الpast continuous. بالنسبة للpast perfect وده آخر زمن عندنا اللي هو الماضي التام. When can I use it؟ أستخدمه إمتى؟ لما بكتب قصة to narrate an action happened in the past before another past action. بكل بساطة لما يبقى عندي حدثين حصلوا في الماضي ولكن واحد فيهم حصل قبل التاني. بمعنى إيه؟ بمعنى هنا أنا عندي الجملة هتبقى مقسومة لشقين بحدثين مختلفين. الحدث الأولاني هستخدم فيه زمن الpast perfect والحدث التاني هستخدم فيه زمن الpast simple. تمام؟ طيب and to make sure that you understood it perfectly, here's an assignment for you. Try to find examples for these tenses from the previous exercise. Again, without looking back at the article, I need you to complete the following excerpt from Lightning Strikes Twice using the correct past tense forms of the verbs in the brackets. And to make sure that you understood the previous grammar perfectly, I'm gonna let you do it yourself and then come back to check the answers together. Are you done? Okay, now with the answers. The operation went well and he was soon back at home. 4 months after the transplant, Matt was beginning to return to work. He spaced 36 books. He had read 36 books and had watched every program on TV. I had more energy than ever. He remembers life was looking good again. Then, 2 years later, Anne suddenly fainted at work. She was taken to hospital, where tests shown Anne had suffered from liver failure. A brutally honest doctor said that Anne could die at any time, and I hope you understood and solved it correctly. Now I need you to complete the following excerpt from Lightning Strikes Twice using the correct form of the following verbs, and I need to tell you that there may be more than one possible answer, but try to remember which verb was used in the actual article. The verbs we have here are tell, add, respond, shout, explain, and say. Okay, number 1. What? She spaced in panic. What did the doctor say? Here the answer will be she shouted in panic. Number 2. Matt managed to space, I need a liver transplant. Without it, I will die. The answer will be Matt managed to say, I need a liver transplant. Okay, number 3. Why are you asking all these questions? Anne responded. Number 4, because the nurse paced her, the transplant experience is so stressful that some couples split up. The answer will be the nurse told her. Number 5, we just wanted to be together, space Anne, that was all that mattered. Explains Anne. Number 6, that's the way it is, mad space as they go out into the winter night. As long as we're together, we can weather any storm. Matt adds. I need to remind you that if there is any difficult word that you don't get the Arabic meaning of it, please open your dictionaries and try to translate them immediately. Here, as you can see, we have another language spot, which is the direct speech or direct speech, اللي هو بكل بساطة الكلام المباشر. طيب الكلام المباشر بيبقى شكله عامل ازاي؟ في الكتابة بيبقى ما بين quotation marks. لو تفتكروا أنا طلبت المحاضرة اللي فاتت طلبت منكم إن انتم تترجموا يعني ايه كلمة quotation marks. اللي ترجمها هيلاقي إن هي معناها علامات تنصيص. علامات التنصيص بستخدمها ليه؟ علشان أحط جواها الاقتباسات. طب الاقتباسات دي أصلا بحطها ليه أو بستخدمها ليه؟ بستخدمها علشان أوضح مدى أهمية الكلام اللي اتقال من الشخص ده، ولذلك أخدت كلامه زي ما هو بدون تغيير. طيب هل في كتابة القصة الحقيقية during writing a true life story does it make a difference or does we use it differently؟ هل بنستخدمها بشكل مختلف؟ مش بالظبط، as the direct speech can be used to interrupt the story to give attention to a specific event or relationship, to show a character's personality and to show relationships between characters. اللي هو بيعمل ايه؟ بستخدمه علشان اعمل فوكس على حدث معين او كلام معين بوضح من خلاله شخصية أو طبيعة شخصية الفرد دي عاملة ازاي، أو علشان أوضح مدى أهمية العلاقات ما بين الأشخاص اللي عندي في القصة ايه. طيب حاجة محتاجة أراعيها دايما لما أجي بتكلم في المباشر اللي هو فعل tell وفعل say. في فرق بينهم في الاستخدام زي ما في فرق بينهم في المعنى. لوهلة ممكن البعض يظن إن الاتنين بيحملوا نفس المعنى، ولكن بالعربي كده tell معناها يخبر وsay معناها يقول. طيب شخص عشان يخبر حاجة لازم يخبرها لشخص، ما بيقولهاش كده وخلاص، ولذلك it always should be followed by a direct personal pronoun or the name of the person. اللي هو بستخدمها أو بحط وراها يبقى الضمير الشخصي أو الشخص اللي عمل الفعل. زي لما نقول the doctor told Anne، هنا عندي told جه بعدها اسم الشخص على طول، ما ينفعش يكون في حاجة فاصلة ما بينهم. يبقى أحطها عندي قاعدة في direct speech لما يبقى عندي tell لازم بيجي بعديها على طول وراها ال personal pronoun أو اسم الشخص. بالنسبة للsay اللي هي يقول it cannot be followed by a direct personal pronoun، ما بحطش بعديها ال personal pronoun أو الشخص اللي قال الحاجة، بل أنا بجيب الشخص في الأول إن فلان قال كذا. في الحالة دي بيبقى عندي إما بحط الكوتيشن أو بحط say that ما بين الكوتيشن وما بين say، الاتنين صحيحين ومفيش بينهم اختلاف. تاني بكل بساطة الديركت سبيتش في كتابة القصة بستخدمه ازاي عشان أعمل فوكس على حدث معين أو أوضح مدى أهمية العلاقة ما بين الأشخاص اللي عندي ايه. tell أستخدمها دايما وبيجي بعديها دايما الشخص اللي أنا عايزة أقوله الحاجة أو الضمير اللي بينوب عنه، وساي دايما بتيجي بعدها that أو من غير that، ولكن الفكرة ما بيجيش بعدها شخص أو ضمير. Now, the following phrases could all have been included in lightning strikes twice. I needed to complete the phrases using the verbs in the books, and there may be more than one possible answer. The verbs used in here are said, told, explained, and added. Number 1. I might not survive this. Matt thought his space I'd had 5 uncles who died from liver disease. He added or explained. Number 2, instead of sitting in the waiting room alone and spend an hour in the hospital chapel, praying is a practice she's since made part of her daily life. I hadn't prayed for years, she says, but I prayed hard now. I pray 3 times a day, every day. The answer here will, she said or explained. Number 3, a very honest doctor, space and to live for today because there might not be a tomorrow. The answer will be told Anne. Number 4, the storm's love for each other has grown. It's a whole new commitment. Space Matt, we are best friends. Said or explained. Okay? Alright. Now, as you can see, we have already finished our lecture for today. I need to thank you all, and for any questions, feel free to contact me by email.